Can a car be art? Think about that for a few minutes, because we're going to circle back to it in just a bit. I'm currently behind the wheel of the Audi A7 Sportback, and although I might have all the facts and figures in my head, I'm actually on my way to go and pick up a fellow petrol geek, someone who has a little bit more experience with these cars. In fact, the last time he drove one, he turned into a werewolf.
Okay.
Social distancing.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
So, what do you think? What do you think?
New A7 Sportback. I'll tell you what, I like it. I prefer it to the previous generation. The previous generation was just a little doe-eyed and droopy. This one is actually nice and angular. There's a lot of interesting styling cues to this one.
All right, so grab your stuff. Let's go for a drive then.
I'm driving though, hey?
Okay, let's go.
In the back, in the back. Dude, what are you doing?
Just checking. Which actually brings me to my first point about this here A7, and that is the interior space. I mean, despite the fact that it has that beautiful sloping rear roof, I actually have got plenty of legroom at the back here, and I am, as I just can't, 1 meter away from you. That is social distancing. What do you think? I mean, you drove the previous S7.
Yeah.
What is it like now up front there?
A lot more modern. So now it sort of ties in with what we've been seeing from the Audi Q8, and of course similar vehicles in that sort of echelon, if we put it that way, and that's now with these aluminium trims, high gloss and brushed aluminium trims, and then there's this sort of piano black / glass effect to the dashboard, but it's considerably better designed. We've got these dual screens, and of course with virtual cockpit here, and it's a good looking place. It's a very pleasant, high-tech place to sit.
I mean, I do quite like that twin screen arrangement. The haptic feedback is awesome.
Yeah.
I had the Touareg not so long ago, and that had the pre-sense, just hover your finger over the screen. This, you actually get that satisfying click when you push the buttons. Well, we're staying on the interior. Probably one of the things that I like the most about this here A7 is the safety. Now, this has all the safety systems that Audi offers. There is the 3-letter acronyms, the list as long as my left arm. It has 6 airbags. There's Isofix in the back for the kids, but a lot of it sits right there in front of you, Chad. I think those
So pre-safe has got collision avoidance, mitigation, city braking. So if you're approaching vehicles at a rate that it believes is too fast, it's going to apply the brakes for you, and it's going to throw up a warning here on the dashboard. It's got night vision as well, which is going to, it's really, really handy. It's not something that you drive by, but you put it on in the background and it will highlight pedestrians and animals in the beautiful, brilliant yellow on a black and white screen. So you really can't miss it. And of course, let's not forget about the lighting system. So these matrix headlights are also going to identify objects along the side of the road. They're also going to create auto dip high beam. So if you are driving on your high beams and a vehicle approaches, or you're tailing a vehicle, it's going to create a little dark spot around it, which is great safety for other drivers.
And then one of the party pieces of this particular car is at night, if you unlock or lock the car, it gives you this amazing little light show.
It's pretty cool, hey?
It is. It's quite entertaining. It never ceases to amuse. Speaking about the exterior, one of the first things that you mentioned when I first picked you up was the fact that this car has huge 20-inch wheels.
Yeah.
One of the things that I am noticing sitting as a passenger in the rear is I don't feel them. And I think that has a lot to do with that air suspension.
Yeah. So this does have the air suspension, and I'll tell you what, both primary and secondary rides are surprisingly compliant. It really does smooth things out. You're hardly feeling either of those.
I do quite enjoy the limousine feel that I'm getting back here.
I don't think it is one of those vehicles that you're going to be driven around in. It is more about driving the vehicle And I tell you what, it's a cracking drive.
Oh, look, speaking of the drive, this is, of course, the big boy. This is the 55 TFSi. It is 3-litre V6. What was it?
250 kilowatts, eh?
250 kilowatts.
500 Newton meters. And yes, you are going to get more from S offerings, but this isn't an S model. It's an S line model, which is only a trim package. And I tell you what, that's more than ample power. It really is. It's got a beautiful get up and go, but I'm going to attribute that to the mild hybrid system. The 48 volt mild hybrid system that sort of fills in the gaps where the turbo's not working at full steam yet.
And you know, I experienced it on the way in, and that is, if you're driving at 125 and you're on the freeway, you take your foot off the accelerator, the car actually continues coasting at speed. It's almost like cruise control, but the engine revs are nowhere. The engine is off. It's quite a fascinating thing. And, you know, when we talk about tech like that, this Audi also has that, I forget the name, but it's like a counter steering system.
It's essentially a four-wheel steer.
So yeah, when you're under 60 k's an hour, you turn the steering wheel right, the rear wheels turn left, and it actually decreases the turning circle of the car. And then over 60 k's an hour, it of course it steers in the opposite direction.
And it feels like the tail's coming round, but it's actually got perfect grip. And it will have perfect grip because, of course, it's an A7, it's got Quattro.
And, of course, giant wheels. So, despite the fact, I think, yeah, it's safe to say that those giant wheels and the air suspension basically cancel each other out and make this one of the nicest, most supple rides I've ever been in. I mean, we're going over some pretty harsh terrain here. And, yeah, I feel like I could send an email.
It really is. And I tell you what, it's beautifully quiet. I'm actually loving how quiet and composed this drive is. And that's on all surfaces, virtually. All tarmac surfaces.
It's absolutely lovely. This is, of course, like we said, the big 3-litre V6. Now, Audi claims that this is going to give you 7.1 litres per 100.
I'm not seeing that. Hey? Admittedly, we've been doing some filming, so there's been a lot of stop-start driving, slightly harsher than normal acceleration and deceleration, but I'm getting 11s here.
Which, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that sounds about right. And yet again, wherever and whomever this car is aimed at, I don't think they're really going to be bothered. Well, look, as big as it is and as thirsty as it is, I think you're actually getting quite a lot for your money in this segment.
And that begs the question, what does it cost?
Okay, so the Audi A7 Sportback, which is the only one in this segment, going to come in at about 1.3342 and a few extra rand, which still makes it the cheapest that you can get out of all of the vehicles in this segment. Mercedes-Benz CLS comes in at 1.35. BMW 8 Series Grand Coupe is 1.5. We were talking earlier this morning, you could probably throw the Panamera in there if you were prepared.
I was about to say, yeah, Panamera 4.
1.8.
Yeah, that's
6.
And of course, these are all before options, and all of these brands that we've mentioned now are notorious for their options. How much of this kit comes standard though?
Well, actually quite a lot of it. I think there's only things like the driver assist packages, the adaptive cruise control and all of that, which is an optional extra. But as the car sits for sale in South Africa right now, what you get is what you pay. There's very little else that you can add on. It'll be very interesting to see how much it chases the price up when you start adding you know, the sports packs and things like that, which I haven't been able to find any info on it. These cars, as they come, that's what you're going to pay. Well, thank you very much, Chad.
Pleasure.
It's always nice to get a little bit of insight, but I have to be perfectly honest with you, I don't make a very good backseat driver. So if you wouldn't mind, we can head back and I can finish this drive up.
Perfect, with pleasure.
Home, Jeeves. Don't spare the horses.
Yes, sir.
So, the Audi A7, luxurious, powerful, and achingly beautiful. Which brings me back to that question, can a car be art? The answer is a resounding yes. The A7 is a stunning piece of automotive design with power and style to match, aimed only at the most discerning of buyers. Forget bedroom wall posters. It belongs in a high-end art gallery.
Search Auto Trader.